Today, we all instantly recognize this version of Imran Khan, the unstoppable sporting titan and the authoritative world leader. But the origins of that confidence lie behind the gates of Lahore's Aitchison College, an institution so steeped in British academic tradition, it is known as the Eton of Pakistan. When he first arrived, Khan was defined by a profound, almost paralyzing shyness. He was a quiet student who actively preferred to hide in the back of the classroom. His academic record was unnoteworthy, and he possessed no visible spark of a child prodigy. He was a boy who blended completely into the background of the school's red brick hallways. This creates a difficult paradox. How does a timid, unremarkable schoolboy develop the psychological armor required to lead on the world stage? The answer is that grit isn't a personality trait he was born with. It was a physical and mental state painstakingly forged by the environmental pressures of Aitchison. The transformation began with a schedule that left no room for hesitation. Aitchison enforced a regime of early morning wake-ups, rigid assembly lines, and a non-negotiable mandate for daily athletics. This institutional rigor acted as a forcing function, gradually eroding his shyness by providing a predictable, structured baseline for his daily life. He found his true classroom on the open sports fields, where physical performance mattered more than the quiet anonymity of the library. But the fields brought their own pressure. He was constantly shadowed by the heavy expectations of his family lineage, a bloodline where world-class cricket was already the standard. His cousin, Javed Burki, was already a household name, representing achievement light years away from a shy schoolboy. Then there was Majid Khan, cementing the idea that in this family, greatness wasn't an option, it was a requirement. Between the unyielding discipline of his teachers and the intimidating shadow of his cousins, he was trapped in a crucible that left him with only two choices: disappear entirely or excel. He chose to work. He responded to the weight of his family's legacy by retreating into a solitary, almost clinical obsession with practice. He spent thousands of hours in the school's practice nets, often completely alone, repeating the same motions until they became instinct. At the time, he was convinced his future lay in batting. He was stubborn about this goal, spending his energy trying to master the art of the crease. The trajectory of his life changed when the Aitchison coaches intervened. They spent weeks observing the way he moved, spotting a specific physical potential that he hadn't noticed himself. Hidden within his lean frame, they saw an explosive ability to bowl at high speeds, a rare combination of physics and timing that was wasted on batting. The coaches redirected him entirely, shifting his focus from the bat to the ball. This single decision became the foundation for his entire professional identity. He dropped the bat and began the long process of rebuilding his technique from the ground up, following the vision of his mentors over his own original ambitions. By 1968, the 16-year-old who had entered Aitchison as a timid child was gone. In his place was a young man ready to test himself against grown men. Lahore was a vibrant, chaotic backdrop as he prepared to step out of the school grounds and into the professional circuit. He made his first-class debut for Lahore while still a student, forced to bridge the gap between high school exams and the pressure of professional stadium play. This first match was not a triumph. He struggled against the seasoned professionals, finding that the skills which dominated Aitchison were suddenly insufficient. Instead of shrinking from the failure, he returned to the practice nets with a doubled workload. He left that debut convinced that the only way to close the gap between him and the greats was through sheer, grueling volume. But just as he was beginning to find his rhythm in the Pakistani game, his parents issued a new mandate. He was to leave the country for higher education. He was sent away from the familiar heat of Lahore to the cold, elite, and intimidating stone courtyards of Oxford University. Aitchison had built his internal engine, but the true test of that discipline would be whether it could function in an entirely alien world, far from home.